Hey everybody, MS Farzan here, and in this video we're going to answer the question, what is Dungeons & Dragons? Maybe you've played a board game before, or some sort of role-playing video game, or a card game with your friends, and you're wondering, how is Dungeons & Dragons different? Dungeons & Dragons is a fantasy tabletop role-playing game first developed by Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson in 1974 and now published by Wizards of the Coast. And it's similar to a lot of the games that you may have already played, but different in three key areas. The first one is collaborative storytelling. Unlike a board game where everything comes packaged in a little box and you might be moving pre-made characters around a board, Dungeons & Dragons relies on collaborative storytelling where you co-create the world with your friends. This means that you create your own character from a set of archetypes and get to roleplay that character in a world that you share with your friends. So maybe you want to play an archer-type character that steals from the rich and gives to the poor. Not very original, I know, but we're making it up as we go. And your friend wants to play a thief-type character that assassinates people and lurks in the shadows. And you have another friend that wants to play a priestly-type character that does good in the world and heals people and says all these cool prayers and brings down divine light. That's pretty awesome, and you can do that in Dungeons & Dragons by co-creating the world, meaning that you get to sit around a table or maybe on Skype with a bunch of your friends and roleplay what it is that you're doing by telling stories. Now, this requires mechanics, which is the second thing that distinguishes Dungeons & Dragons from other types of games. I'm not saying that other games don't have mechanics, of course they do, but the types of mechanics that are used in Dungeons & Dragons and role-playing games are very specific to the genre. Dungeons & Dragons, for example, uses this, a 20-sided dice, also known as a D20, which is used to determine a lot of the different types of things that happen in a Dungeons & Dragons game. So let's say my archer character wants to hit a goat at 30 paces. I'm not sure why he would want to do so, but let's just go along with it. So I can't just say, all right, I take out my bow and arrow and shoot the goat. Instead, I have to roll my d20 and try and hit a target number that has been pre-established to determine whether or not I can hit that goat. So I'm going to attempt to roll my d20 and try and hit that target number. So maybe I get an 18, and if that's good enough to hit that goat, then I hit the goat. If it's not, then the goat goes free. Most of the things that happen in Dungeons & Dragons require the d20 and other types of dice to provide kind of a structure for the role-playing. So my assassin friend, if they're going to try and stealth in the shadows behind a group of goats to assassinate another goat, I feel really bad for the goat population watching this, they're also going to have to roll a d20 to determine how well they stealth past the goats, or if the goats detect them and send the goat army after them. And this is where the third aspect of Dungeons & Dragons comes in, the Dungeon Master. The Dungeon Master is the designated person in your group who kind of puts together the storylines and the different characters that all the other players are going to interact with during the campaign. So let's say that you and your friends are playing the archer and the assassin and the priest. Well, they need a world to live in, and they need things to do, and they need a story to follow, and they need other characters to interact with. The Dungeon Master is the person who kind of sets the scene for that world and co-creates the world with you and plays all of the other characters in that world. So let's say they create a scenario in which your party, the assassin and the archer and the priest, are supposed to free a group of townspeople from a group of bandits. Well, the Dungeon Master is the person who plays all of the townspeople and plays all of the bandits and plays all of the goats and co-creates the world with you, providing a story and a number of characters and maybe even added mechanics for your party to play with to really live as part of that world. So that's Dungeons & Dragons in a nutshell. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and follow me on Twitter for more crunchy content.